They called me the backup child. Turns out being invisible was the best thing that ever happened to me. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and for 28 years I was the daughter my parents kept in reserve. Just in case their real favorite didn't work out. I'm not being dramatic. That's actually how it felt growing up in suburban Ohio, watching my older brother Derek get every ounce of attention our parents had to give. Golden boy Derek, star quarterback Derek. Future Dr. Derek, the son who could do no wrong even when he was doing everything wrong. Me, I was the quiet one, the bookworm, the girl who spent Friday nights in her room instead of at parties. My mom used to introduce me to her friends like this. This is Sarah, she's very responsible. That was it. That was my whole identity in 4 words. When I was 16, I asked my dad if he'd come to my academic decathlon competition. We'd made it to regionals, I was team captain. He looked at me like I'd asked him to watch paint dry and said, "That's the same day as Derek's football game, honey, you understand." It wasn't a question. I went alone, we won. I brought the trophy home and put it on my dresser. Nobody noticed it for 3 months. My mom eventually asked if it was from a thrift store because it looked vintage. College couldn't come fast enough. While Derek went to Ohio State on a full ride that my parents bragged about to everyone in a 10-mile radius, I got into MIT on a scholarship nobody in my family understood. My mom actually asked if MIT was like a technical school and whether I'd considered something more normal like teaching. I stopped trying to explain, I just left. Boston became my oxygen. Nobody there knew I was the backup child. Nobody there compared me to Derek. I could just be Sarah, the girl who was really, really good with computers. Turns out I wasn't just good. I was exceptional. By sophomore year, I was doing freelance coding for startups. By junior year, a professor connected me with a venture capital firm that needed security consulting. By senior year, I had more money in my bank account than my parents made in a year, and I hadn't told them a single thing about it. Graduation came and went. My parents drove up for it, spent the whole weekend talking about Derek's medical school interviews, and drove home. My mom hugged me and said, "We're proud of you too, sweetie," like it was an afterthought she suddenly remembered. That summer, Derek dropped out of med school, just quit. Turns out he'd only applied because our parents wanted him to. What he actually wanted was to be a personal trainer. The family meltdown was nuclear. My phone exploded with texts from my mom. "Your brother is throwing his life away. He's breaking our hearts. Why can't he be more focused like you, like me?" She'd never said I was focused before. She'd never said I was anything before. I didn't engage. I was too busy building something real. I joined a cybersecurity startup in Cambridge, and within 8 months, I was running the entire security infrastructure. We got acquired by a major tech company when I was 25. My shares alone were worth $2.3 million. I didn't tell my family. Not because I was hiding it, but because they never asked what I was doing. The few times I tried to share, my dad would say, "That's great, honey," in the same voice he used when I told him I'd cleaned my room as a kid. So I bought myself a condo in Beacon Hill. Paid cash. Started angel investing. Built a life that would have made my parents' heads spin if they'd known it existed. They didn't know. They were too busy trying to convince Derek that CrossFit coaching wasn't a real career. Meanwhile, I got headhunted by a Fortune 500 company, director of cybersecurity, 6-figure salary. Stock options, the whole package. I was 26 years old, then came Thanksgiving. I usually made excuses to skip, but my grandmother, my dad's mom, specifically asked me to come. She said she missed me. She was the only one who ever did. I flew home to Ohio. I walked into my childhood house wearing a cashmere sweater that cost more than the couch they were sitting on. Not that they noticed. Dinner was the usual show. Derek dominated the conversation, talking about his new gym clients. My mom hung on every word. My dad asked him about his business plan like Derek was launching the next Apple. I sat there chewing pot roast, invisible as ever. Then my grandmother, bless her, looked right at me and said, "Sarah, your mother mentioned you're still doing computer work. Are you enjoying it?" Computer work. After 8 years, that's still all they thought I did. I smiled. Actually, Grandma, I'm the director of cybersecurity for Hartman Industries now. We just finalized a contract with the Department of Defense. The table went silent. My dad's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. My mom blinked. Hartman, like Hartman Hartman? Yeah. That Hartman, my brother laughed. Wait, you work for a Fortune 500 company? I run their entire security division. The silence got heavier. My dad finally said, how much does something like that pay? And there it was, not we're proud of you or that's amazing. Just how much money was I making? I took a sip of wine. Enough. My grandmother squeezed my hand under the table. She knew, she'd always known I was more than they gave me credit for. After dinner, my mom cornered me in the kitchen. Suddenly, she was interested in my life. Suddenly, she wanted to know everything. Where did I live? Was I seeing anyone? Did I travel for work? I'm in Boston, I said, Beacon Hill. And yes, I travel. I was in Tokyo last month for a security summit. Her eyes went wide. Tokyo, Sarah, that's incredible. Why didn't you tell us? Because you never asked, I wanted to say. But I just shrugged. It never came up. The weekend ended and I flew back to Boston thinking that was it. A brief moment of recognition and then back to normal. I was wrong. My mom started calling. Not just holiday calls, actual calls. She wanted to catch up. She'd tell me about her day, ask about mine. It felt strange at first, like learning a new language with someone who'd never spoken to you before. Then Derek called. He needed advice about business stuff. His gym was struggling. Could I look at his finances? I did. I helped him restructure his pricing. I even connected him with a small business consultant. He thanked me, and for a minute it felt like maybe we could actually be siblings. Then my dad called. His company was downsizing. He was worried about his 401k. Could I explain some investment options? I spent 2 hours on the phone walking him through it. And just like that, I wasn't invisible anymore. I was useful. It felt good at first, I won't lie. After 28 years of being overlooked, suddenly being needed felt like finally being seen. My mom texted me every few days. Derek called to chat. My dad sent me articles about the stock market. Then Christmas came. My mom asked if I could help her out with something, just a small thing. She and Dad wanted to redo the roof, but they were short about $15,000. Could I help? I felt my stomach drop, but I told myself this was different. This wasn't about money. This was a family helping family. I sent the money. My mom called me crying, thanking me, saying I was such a good daughter. 2 weeks later, Derek called. His gym equipment needed replacing. Could I loan him $20,000? He'd pay me back when business picked up. I hesitated, but he was my brother, so I sent it. Then my dad needed help with medical bills. My mom needed a new car. Derek needed help with rent. Every time they said it was the last time. Every time they said they'd pay me back. Every time I said yes because I wanted to believe that this was what families did. They helped each other. But somewhere in the back of my mind, a quiet voice asked, where were they when I needed help, when I was working 3 jobs in college? When I was eating ramen for dinner so I could save for textbooks, they were watching Derek play football. I pushed the thought away. I kept sending money. I kept saying yes. Then my grandmother called. Sarah, honey, we need to talk. Her voice had that tone, the one that meant she knew something I didn't want to hear. I was at your parents' house yesterday for dinner, she said carefully. I overheard your mother on the phone with her sister. My chest tightened. She was laughing about how easy it was to get money out of you now. She said, and I'm quoting, all those years of Sarah being useless and now she's finally good for something. The floor dropped out from under me. Your father laughed. He said you were making up for lost time. Derek said you probably felt guilty for not being around. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. I'm sorry, sweetheart, my grandmother said softly. But I thought you should know. I sat in my condo that night, looking out at the Boston skyline and did the math. In 8 months, I'd given my family over $150,000. Not a single dollar had been paid back, not one. The worst part wasn't the money, I could afford it. The worst part was realizing that I was still invisible to them. They just saw me as a different kind of useful person now, not the daughter who needed love, the ATM who happened to share their DNA. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark and I made a decision. The next morning, my mom called asking if I could help with the landscaping. 15,000 for new trees and a patio. I said no. The silence on the other end was deafening. What do you mean no? I mean I'm not sending money anymore. Sarah, don't be ridiculous. This is family. Then where was my family when I needed them? I hung up. My phone exploded. Texts from my mom, calls from my dad, voicemails from Derek. All saying the same thing. I was being selfish. I was being cruel. How could I abandon them when they needed me? Not once did anyone ask if I was okay. I blocked them all, not forever. Just long enough to think. My grandmother was the only one I stayed in touch with. She didn't lecture me. She didn't take sides. She just said, "You don't owe anyone access to you, Sarah." Not even family? 3 weeks later, Derek showed up at my building. The doorman called up and I almost didn't let him come up. But curiosity won. He looked terrible, tired, stressed. "Mom and Dad are losing the house," he said. I stared at him. "What?" "They refinanced it to pay for renovations, used you as collateral, basically. Told the bank their daughter worked for Hartman and would help if things went south. Now things have gone south and the bank's calling the loan." My hands went cold. "They used my name. They told the bank you'd co-signed. You didn't, obviously, but they forged some documents." I felt like I'd been punched. "They committed fraud using my name." Derek nodded. "I didn't know until yesterday. Mom told me everything. She's freaking out. They could lose the house, Sarah. They need—" "Don't." My voice was ice. "Don't tell me what they need." I called my lawyer that afternoon. The documents were fake, but they were convincing. My parents had forged my signature on a cosigner agreement. If I reported it, they'd face criminal charges. If I didn't, I'd be on the hook for $400,000. My lawyer said I had every right to press charges, that this was serious fraud. That I shouldn't protect people who'd exploited me, but they were still my parents. I sat with that for 3 days. I barely ate, I barely slept. I just kept thinking about that little girl who wanted her dad to come to one competition. Just one. And I realized that little girl was never going to get what she needed from them. No amount of money, no amount of success, no amount of forgiveness would make them see her the way she deserved to be seen. I paid off the loan, all of it, not for them, for me. So I could walk away clean. Then I called my parents. My mom answered, already crying, already thanking me. I cut her off. "I paid the loan. The house is yours. And we're done. Sarah, please. You forged my signature. You committed fraud using my name. I could have you arrested. I'm choosing not to, but we're done. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't show up at my home. If you do, I will press charges. Do you understand?" Silence. "Do you understand?" "Yes," she whispered. I hung up. Derek tried to reach out a few times after that. Apologizing, explaining, begging me to reconsider. I didn't respond. He'd known what they were doing and said nothing until it was too late to matter. My grandmother supported my decision. She said she'd tried to warn my parents for years that they were taking me for granted, that they'd regret it someday. "Are they sorry?" I asked her. She paused. "They're sorry they got caught." "I don't think they're sorry for what they did." That was enough truth for me. I threw myself back into work, got promoted to VP, started speaking at conferences. Built a reputation as one of the best in my field. Not because I was trying to prove anything to my family, but because I was finally free to focus on what I was good at without their noise in the background. A year later, I met someone. A software engineer named Marcus who thought my work stories were fascinating instead of boring, who asked about my day and actually listened, who didn't care about my money because he had his own successful career. 6 months after that, he proposed. A small ceremony, just friends and my grandmother. No one else from my family was invited. I didn't even tell them. My grandmother cried happy tears. She told me I looked beautiful. She told me she was proud of me. She told me all the things my parents should have said 1,000 times but never did. On my wedding day, my mom somehow found out and called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail saying she was heartbroken to miss her daughter's wedding, that she deserved to be there. I deleted it without finishing. 3 years passed. I built a life that would have shocked the people who knew me growing up. Marcus and I bought a house in Cambridge. We traveled. We worked on projects we cared about. I started a scholarship fund for girls pursuing STEM degrees who came from families that didn't understand their ambitions. I named it after my grandmother. She cried when I told her. Sarah Mitchell, you are the best thing this family ever produced, and they were too stupid to see it. I laughed, but part of me still ached, not because I missed my parents, but because I missed the parents I wished I'd had. Then, out of nowhere, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Derek. Before you hang up, he said quickly, I need to tell you something. It's about Dad. My father had cancer, stage 4. The doctors gave him 6 months, maybe less. He wanted to see me, to apologize. I didn't say anything for a long time. Sarah, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Will you come? He's asking for you. I wanted to say no. I wanted to protect myself from one more disappointment. But something in me, that little girl who still wanted her father to see her, said yes. I drove to Ohio alone. Marcus offered to come, but I needed to do this myself. The hospice was quiet. Derek met me outside my father's room. He looked older, tired. He hugged me and I let him, but I didn't hug back. He's really sick, Derek warned. He's not the same. I nodded and went inside. My father looked small in the hospital bed. Frail, nothing like the strong, distant man I remembered. He opened his eyes when he heard me come in. Sarah, I sat in the chair next to the bed but didn't touch him. I'm here. He started crying, not loud, just quiet tears rolling down his cheeks. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I waited. I was a terrible father to you. I saw Derek and I saw what I wanted to be, but I should have seen you, should have seen how special you were. I was wrong, Sarah. About everything? I felt my own tears coming and I hated it. I didn't want to cry for him, but I couldn't stop. You used me, I said quietly. You all did. And when I finally stood up for myself, you committed fraud with my name. I know, and I can't fix it. I can't fix any of it. He reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back either. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I wanted you to know the truth before I die. You were always enough, Sarah, more than enough. I was just too blind to see it. We sat there for a long time, him crying, me staring at our hands. Finally, I stood up. I forgive you, I said, not for you, for me, so I can let this go. But that doesn't mean we have a relationship. That doesn't mean I trust you. It just means I'm done carrying this anger. He nodded, still crying. That's more than I deserve. Yes, I said. It is. I walked out of that room and didn't look back. My father died 6 weeks later. I didn't go to the funeral. I sent flowers with a card that said simply, rest in peace. My mom tried to call me afterward. I didn't answer. Derek sent a text saying he understood. I didn't respond. My grandmother told me later that my mom spent the funeral crying, telling everyone that she'd lost both her husband and her daughter, that she didn't know how to fix what she'd broken. Can she, I asked my grandmother, fix it? My grandmother looked at me with those wise, tired eyes. Some things stay broken, sweetheart, and that's okay. Today, I'm 33 years old. I run my own cybersecurity consulting firm. I have a husband who loves me, a home I built, a life I chose. Sometimes I think about that girl at the academic decathlon sitting alone in the crowd, hoping her father would surprise her and show up. She deserved better, but she survived. And she built something beautiful out of the pieces they left behind. I don't hate my family anymore. I don't think about them much at all. When I do, it's with a strange kind of peace, like remembering a storm you survived. My grandmother is 89 now. She lives with us. Every morning she tells me she's proud of me. Every morning I believe her. Last week she found an old photo of me at 12, taking apart a computer while everyone else watched TV. She put it in a frame and set it on the mantel. That's my girl, she said, the one who built her own life when no one else was paying attention. I looked at that little girl in the photo, focused, determined, unaware that she was invisible. She wasn't invisible, she was just building something the others couldn't see yet, and when they finally looked, she was already gone.